All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and morning shining face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. Then the lover, sighing like furnace with a woeful ballad made to his mistress's eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sudden and quick in quarrel, seeking the bubble reputation even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly with good capon lined, with eyes severe and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side, his youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again towards childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends this strange, eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.
You know, I took an acting class for a while, which I think I'll get to later. This is going to recount everything, which led to that first video, actually, of life is a stage. Because, well, it truly is. It truly is just a stage of playing our roles, playing our parts. Something I'll get into later again is kind of where I'm at now and where I am belief-wise, where I am for myself, where I am about the theory of everything and the nature of reality and all this deep stuff. Some people believe that we create our own reality, literally. Like, they believe that there is conscious life before we enter the physical three-dimensional realm. And we, like a video game, choose, our roles. We are in a role-playing game now, as it were. We choose our parents, we choose our circumstances that'll help us grow with ourselves, become better, to work on our whatever weakness you thought you had before this, and you incarnate, and hopefully you part of the game is you have this veil of forgetfulness. You don't remember exactly what you're there to do, but you're there to you have a purpose to do something. And then, I don't know, I assume you will make things, you'll make your path apparent so that whatever you're supposed to do will kind of find you if you're in a place, if you choose to be in a place in your life where you can fulfill your purpose at that time. I assume. Then again, maybe we're all here just to party. Maybe consciousness, wherever the hell it springs from, we're here. We die. That's it. Being a JW, ex-JW, it's just a part of it. Craziness. It's a crazy life. It's a crazy world. In the description of the video, the title, I believe, I don't know what I'm going to call it yet, but something certainly along the lines of where I'm at now, which is oneness, love, something to the effect of, most likely, you are loved. All my ex-JW companions and friends, you are loved. And that's kind of the thing I think we all are thrust to learn, is how to love ourselves when we were in a system where we fought for the love of, this invisible being, of course, and we have to prove ourselves to this thing. And if we do prove ourselves to this God, then we receive love from him, and thus through other people and through other rank and file people in our families, and we can feel resolved and accomplished through others. But we have to learn when we wake up to love ourselves, to understand ourselves, to know who you are. That was a really key part in my journey, of my story. But you are loved. It doesn't feel like it always. And we all know along holiday times, and when it feels like everyone else has somebody, and it's like, I have no family, I have no friends that I trust, my workmates, I don't know how to get involved with them, how to have things in common with them, how to talk to them. It's okay. One thing I've learned on this journey is you are where you are for a reason. Even being a Jehovah's Witness, being in any cult, and not recognizing that it is a cult. You're there for a reason. You're a part of that system, you're a part of that cult, whatever way that cult manifests and however it manifests. There's many cults out there, I've come to realize. But you're where you need to be because you need to be there. I believe that we needed to be there in that cult. If we didn't need to be there, we wouldn't have been there. As soon as, a year in our childhood or whatever, if you were born in, not a year, but when you're of age to really start thinking for yourself, as soon as like 10, you would have recognized, like, I don't need this, it's not for me, don't need it, bye, not gonna do it. Even with the indoctrination, we were there because we needed to be there. We need to learn that lesson of being in there, and learn the great lesson of coming out and what it means for us, what it means for others, I believe. At least that's how I have come to see it for myself. I was talking about acting earlier. Yeah, when I was in an acting class later, we would have these Zoom sessions where, because it was COVID, it was lockdown, we couldn't run our techniques face to face unless we breathed COVID to each other, I guess. So we would go on Zoom and we would do scenes and we would play our technique out. And I never liked the camera very much. I never liked looking right at it like that. And I always used to have problems, still do I guess, of just insecurities and people looking at me and looking at myself or whatever. That's funny. But I've learned to, call that behavior. That was the point of the acting. Call that behavior and call how you feel. And I encourage all to, if you are afraid, to get out there like this. It took me a long time to get out here like this, but just if you're feeling nervous in the midst of your story, just say, man, I'm feeling nervous, I don't know what I'm saying, blah, blah, blah. Just say that. Just say that and talk it out. Say how you really feel. Talk about your behavior. You have a camera right here, so you can call your own behavior. And the acting thing for calling your behavior is to kind of get you out of your head, to call what it really is, to say your truth, and to be your truth, and to know that you're enough. I'm getting ahead of myself because that's all future stuff. I need to get to like the actual Ex-Jehovahs story thing. I was born in Southern California area, and there's a lot of Jehovah's down here. People from Southern California will know that. Frisco to, that's not Southern, but Frisco to in between that and LA, San Diego, Chula Vista, Tijuana. That's all big time like retirement JW territory right there. So it's a very large area. Mostly it used to be pretty blended. Now, we're seeing the organization, the big O, the Borg is aging, I think, pretty rapidly, it would seem. A few occasions where I have went into a Kingdom Hall after I'd woken up. It depends on the hall. I remember I went into a Spanish hall. Spanish is actually huge down here in the southern regions of California, and they actually outnumber the English. So I think they're still pretty strong with like a repertoire of young and old. But the English, I think slowly but surely there's people are, waking or just feeling something's wrong. I know a lot of my old friends, most of my friends are still in there, and it's amazing. I wish more than anything, not more than anything, there they are where they are. They need it, so let them have it. It's what they need. But, for them to wake up would be a treat. It'd be great. It would be great. But I do have some family who are starting to awaken. They're not fully out, but I have some family who's kind of on a little, I guess, closing on the borderline, I was born in third generational witness. So my grandpa fought in World War II and met my grandmother a year after that. I was just talking to him, actually. I have an opportunity to talk to him still. I was just talking to him, recounting his history. He's 100 years old, so that's pretty crazy. He's lived to be 100 years old. Still afraid to die. That's not his fault. But, it's funny, recounting things now, it's like, you have your faith and you have your truth. Like, why would you be afraid to die if it was really like you had nothing to fear because God's on your side, right? So why are you afraid to die? Doesn't mean he shouldn't be afraid to die. Even if he had a truth, doesn't mean that necessarily you wouldn't be afraid to die. But I think like that fear gets dissipated with experience and with knowledge and self strength. But that's a different thing. But, he's admitted that to me. Like, yeah, I don't want to go. I want to live as long as I can. I want to live to 120. He's 100 now. There's old people living to like 110. I've heard. A lot of them. But he fought in the war, met my grandmother about 6 months to a year later. And he called it love at first sight. He said, I believe in love at first sight. And I believe him. I think that's strongly dissipated nowadays. I think things are too complicated and almost the connection the connection of all this almost ruins something like that. I think it was something unique to their time where they could still have a love at first sight moment, because I believe him. And he saw my grandmother. Her name was Rosalind. It's very beautiful. They were Italian. I think they were both Italian descent. They met in Chicago. They were married, he says, about a year, maybe 2 years later. They drove down to Southern California, LA area. And that's where they made their start. He worked for a telephone company all his life in the southern area of California, and they moved into their house. Now, their neighbor, it turned out, was a witness. So they were talking to their neighbor. I don't know which one, my grandmother or my grandpa, was more into it. I want to say it was my grandmother, but I'm not sure. They do their thing and they get the whole spiel. This was in 47, 48. So the world is in post-World War II mindset, which I will say later probably later that I think that had a lot to do with the growth of all these cults. I think there was some global post-stress disorder post-traumatic stress disorder going on worldwide, and frankly, whatever you needed to get you through that, man, I understand. I'm not gonna dog him for that. He met the witness, his neighbor. The neighbor got him in and studied, and that's how it started. And like I said, I want to say that puts that around 1950 that they became, they were in. Whether they were baptized or not, they were in. They became baptized, I don't know when. I had my dad and my uncle 5 years later or so, both of them. And that's how it started on his side. My mother, both my parents are in, obviously. She was from Jamaica, and she doesn't talk about it a lot, but she hints towards a bit of a rough childhood, living with her grandmother, living with her mother, kind of on and off, and taking care of her many siblings, and there was stress there. And I do want to say I think she was a thinker. She did kind of think out of the box as far as there being something, but she was introduced to the whole biblical thing, as many are, outside of the JW realm at a very young age. Jamaica at the time was teaching Christianity type shit in the schools. And so she was questioning them. She could feel like, I don't know if your interpretations are right. It wasn't the whole Christianity thing that she was questioning. It was like their interpretation. But she still believed in the biblical God, the biblical Jesus, I want to say. It wasn't very strong, but it was there. And I think her grandma had a key in that too. She met some witnesses somehow in Jamaica around 16 or 17. And amazingly, she then decided to move to New York when she was about 18, 19, I believe, 20, somewhere in there. And she continued her studying. She found more witnesses in New York. She continued her studying. She found a hall, liked it, didn't question things, got baptized, and then somehow got all of her siblings in too. It was my mom had 3 other siblings, 2 girls and a guy. The guy, I want to say, is not... I have yet to talk to him. That's funny. Because a part of me doesn't want to deal with... I've talked to some of my family about things, and I think he's still, mentally in. I'm pretty sure he's still mentally in, but he's out. So, I kind of just don't want to... I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with someone like that right now. Even though I've been out for, 3, 4, 5 years at this point. I think the years are merging, man. It's funny. But yeah, she got baptized in New York, and so what happened was my dad. This was in the 70s. So my dad went to Bethel in New York from L.A. In fact, my dad and my brother almost simultaneously, and they were in Bethel. And I think what happened was he was assigned to a hall, and my mom and my dad met in that hall, and invited her out to service or something. He didn't even ask her to go to. He asked 2 girls who were my mom's friend in the hall, and he was hoping that she would say yes. She would end up he's I need one of you 2 to. Oh God, I could just see my dad being awkward as hell doing that. It's bro, why did you just ask her specifically? I guess I get it. He was nervous. That's funny. But it just so happened, my mom said, yes, yeah, let's do some return visits or something together. It's freaking hilarious. But they did their return visits, and then I guess they had themselves a return visit date, and another return visit date, I want to say. It's hilarious. Probably the chaperone and all. And that was that. They ended up getting married, and then they both were Bethelites officially. So they were in Bethel for quite a while. And then I have a sister. So they had my sister, and then when you have kids in Bethel, you out. So they dipped and they went back to California. And then I was born 2-3 years later. So being born in, differences between that and finding it later, obviously you just don't have a choice. You don't have a chance to see life outside of this spectrum of the JW mindset only. The JW future, the JW mindset on school, on goals, on self. You are indoctrinated, cookie cutter people. So I love that. It's the cookie cutter. Everyone's a cookie cutter aspect of the JW. Stamp them with a JW frosting label on there too. That's all they are. And so you are indoctrinated into that at a very young age. And that's the mindset. And, they feeling that at a young age, I remember fairly clearly that, I believe this is the truth. I found the one and only. And how lucky am I to be a part of God's true organization. And everyone seems so nice. I am lucky in that I did not have physically or sexually abusive parents in any regard like that. And they seemed always pretty keen on, I think they had a little bit, no, I know they had a little bit of knowledge on rumors and things they would tell me about, certain ones. Not that they knew for sure if someone was a pedophile in the hall, but they were keen to keep me safe, not let me one-on-one with maybe certain ones that were weird. Those ones in the hall that are kind of mental as hell as a young kid, as a toddler. But they still, the JW way. You still go in servers with random ass people you don't really know. Many times I pioneered. I auxiliary pioneered. I did all that through this freaking summer. Wasted my goddamn summers pioneering. So as a child, that was the mindset though. It's I am special. I have found the way to truth and life. Not being able to compare my life with any other childhood and the kids at school. I was, I always had that thing. I was friendly with them. I wanted to hang out more with kids from school at a young age, elementary. I'm talking a little bit of middle, but by end of elementary, start of middle, it was really beginning to. The JW mindset was really, the cult mindset was really just hammering through of you gotta stay separate. You don't want your faith to be harmed, and through bad association. And that dumbass video of the people in New York, the young people ass video, who were some rich ass people, man. Even, it's funny, even from their standpoint, they depict a lot of their people rich as hell. Who are JWs. I guess the main character, I'm talking about the blonde girl and the blonde guy, the 90s people. That was so 90s. Straight out of freaking Disney Channel. Disney Channel or Nickelodeon or something. Everyone's look back then. I remember that video. We saw that video 10 freaking times with my family. So, gotta stay away from school. Oh, that's funny. It's all coming back to me, man. And then it's they were in the SUV at night. And, I'm a kid. It's what the? I don't understand what they're trying to do. I don't get it. It's funny. It'd be funny if the car was jiggling back and forth. That's funny. Yeah, but I saw that video. So I'm just trying to say the mindset was really honing in around that time. And because I was around the age I was 14, and by 14 I was baptized. I really wanted to, give my all and go through all those stupid ass questions. And I did that. Got baptized. I remember that day pretty well. It was at one of the stadiums, actually old Qualcomm Stadium, which has been destroyed now. Man, we were in that stadium every year, and that stadium is gone, bro. It's been destroyed. So I'm baptized now, and now the pioneering and all this. I have a whole list of things I in this book here. A whole list of things I could talk about. Like this, I was just kind of meditating on it earlier, just to kind of plan a little bit. But I feel like we should kind of free flow this to an extent, and just going through it and looking back at, like my parents is a point here. Looking back at how my parents did things, and I remember making a comment on Reddit about that. It's like, how could you, like I said, my parents were not horrible people. Like, my dad worked really hard. He had a window cleaning business, of course. My mom worked on and off with like medical stuff, transcription, typing, medical reports. They were hardworking people. And I was not abused, like I said, physically or sexually in any way. Mentally, I feel like is a different thing. I feel all kids are mentally abused in a cult, and we are no exception. But like I said, I remember commenting on Reddit about it, kind of reminiscing, and it's like, how could you talk to your parents? I wish I could find that exact comment, because I worded it so well. But it's like, your parents clothe you, feed you, nourish you to an extent, take you to school, give you a basic form of education, give you love. I mean, these are things that some kids don't even have, cult or no cult, and they would give anything to have a set of parents who just did the basics for them. And a lot of us, I'm not going to say everyone, but a lot of us did have that, and it's possible that the only reason some of our parents were that way is because of the structure that this religious cult gave them. It's paradox. What can you say? It's like we just don't know what our parents would have been like without the cult. For all we know, they would have been 180 completely different people, for all we know. So, it's like that. And yet there's this other side of life of not preparing you for the real world and destroying your mind to an extent, and just trying to wake from the cult and just being destroyed completely. Your life just flipped upside down. It's like, how could you do this to me? But at the same time, it's like, also, y'all were great too. Y'all were also, compared to some kids, you were great too. It's like, how could you tell them that, they're the reason for, your greatest trial, and yet you're the reason as well for that you have the opportunity to be alive. It's hard. It's hard to balance that. I've had the opportunity to have discussions with them, and it's, you're not going to convince them to get out. You're not going to convince them to leave. Everyone should know that. If it were that easy, we would have been out a long ass time ago. They're there because they need to be there. Getting back to things, high school and pioneering, and I have a good amount of friends. I was in a situation with a large city where I had a good amount of friends and people that I knew. Now, of course, they were not my true friends, and you realize the extent of that later once you're out. Most certainly. And I remember it was tough. I used to have a lot of feelings of just, I didn't understand why so many times I didn't feel like I fit in anywhere, including inside of the JW structure, but certain JW friends, people who I was supposed to be with. But these are forced friendships. These are forced acquaintances. It's not how life works. If you mesh because you mesh with certain people. There's a lot of variables that go into that with creating a friend. And friends, even outside, sometimes are only supposed to last for so long. Your goals break apart. Your wants and your needs, it becomes different, and you fade away. But like JW land, it's almost like you fade away at your own detriment, because your pool of friends is so tight and you have so little options. But yeah, and that all goes back as well to knowing yourself, knowing who you are and who you mesh with. Very important part of life, to go through that, to know thyself. And thus know your friends to at least a certain extent, who's good for you, why they're good for you. So it was good, once I woke up to realize that, wow, so much of that was forced, so much of that was just another load on my back. And, I have yet to discover the true me, and I've yet to discover my true friends. And there are friends everywhere outside of this, your neighbors. It's like we all say, what's the number one best part of waking up from a cult? A lot of times it's just talking to people. It's talking to people without judgment. It's talking to people, without that thing in the back of your head. It's like, oh, you're gonna die in Armageddon. You're gonna burn. God's gonna, you and your family and your kids, because you deserve it. Right? Craziness. But that's not how it's supposed to be. Not by a long shot. I have a lot of things here, but I just go through with the memories. I'll pretty much fast forward, because I was entering the part of my life in my young 20s, and girls are looking good. So I meet a few outside of JW structure, worldly, and we do what we do. We do what we do. And this went on for a while, and then I'm still going to meetings, though. I'm in my own hall, away from my family. I'm still living at home, but I'm in a different congregation than them. Trying to separate myself in that way, in that JW way. And then I hear, because I'm feeling the JW, guilt. It's really the Christianity guilt of, at all times it's fear-based, and you always have to do more, and it's not good enough. But then especially when it's like, man, I'm messing around outside of this, and God's gonna judge me, and God's gonna kill me at Armageddon, and all that type of thinking. And so finally it's like, all right, I'm just gonna confess to the elders that I've been messing around with some girls, and I don't think I'll be DF'd. So we get to the judicial committee. I forgot what that was called. It just came to mind. The judicial committee. And man, that was a awakening point, if anything. I didn't realize it at the time, of course, but the way that's handled. I mean, I go in, I say what happened. These guys are just like the KGB. I need to research what exactly the KGB was and did. I forgot all that. But these guys are the thought police. These guys are grilling you, and it's like you don't say nothing else except for exactly what happened and answer our question specifically, like a mandate. they always have a systematic thing of doing it. It's a corporate religion, so it's a corporate process. And it was, even though I was there, it was shocking. Like, well, can I just explain myself here? And just say exactly what happened. So I say what happened, and I go outside. I'm wondering, like, wow, that was interesting. Go back inside, and they're like, yeah, you DF'd. It's like what? But I'm like, I'm admitting this because I'm truly sorry, and like I'm trying. I'm saying that I'm done with this, and I'm, like that. And they're like, oh, well, no. It's like if you do anything more than once, and this is the first time I heard this. They get me this scripture. I think it's in 1 John. Can't remember exactly where it was, but it was like, if you do something more than once, if you sin more than once, with whatever serious sin they think you did, then there can be no forgiveness for that. This is the first time in my 20 years of like JW-ness that I've heard this scripture. It's like, if I did something more than once, and we all know later you can be disfellowshipped for anything. It's 100% true. It's depending on how you are in the meeting, what they think of you before the meeting. That has a ton of factors. But you can be DF'd for anything. But this particular reasoning, I have never heard this before at that time. You do anything more than once, any sin more than once, automatic DFing. Automatic. It's like, what? I'm just kind of like begging with them. It's like, dude, you can't be serious. Like, cause at that time I'm afraid to be DF too. I know no one wants to be disfellowshipped. Looking back on it, sure as hell happy as hell I got disfellowshipped. That's why huge reason why I'm here. I got to thank him for that. But it was just like crazy, and the way they would speak to you at these meetings, just kind of treating you like a dog, and assuming like, yeah, I know, I see, you don't really care, and you're just gonna talk. It's like, what do you? It's like, whoa, bro, don't assume that. Like, I'm being genuine here. I'm being genuine. It was all said and done. It's like, hey, man, it is what it is. I wanted to appeal it. I was like, I'll shake your hands. Maybe we can see how this flows. Another, at the next one, the appeal. And they're like, we can't shake your hand. It's like, holy shit. just leave. And I was like, wow. And I was going to appeal it, but I ended up not appealing it. So I accept it. I tell my parents. I get my family together, and I tell them, and it's like a cry fest, and it's like, oh, this cannot be real. And because I'm just a big bad JW, and I've done everything wrong, and I gotta earn God's love back. So at first, it's kind of, I'm going, and it's like, just keep your head down and keep moving. This will get better. And then, over time, you feel it. You feel the torture of being disfellowshipped. You feel, it's hard to describe if for people who have never been disfellowshipped, but it's like, I'm thinking of that prison, like when you're in prison, solitary confinement. It's solitary confinement in real life. And after a while, I began to feel just like the anger and the hatred inside of me. And I was like, man, something is wrong. Like, I was just so depressed all the time. And it began, the whole process of awakening began with, does anyone else feel how I feel? Anyone? And so I started with YouTube. It's like, man, maybe someone made a video. I don't know. I never tried looking. I'm not supposed to look up Jehovah's Witness. I'm not supposed to Google my religion because, God won't like that. But I start YouTubing things. And the first one I remember is a Kim and Mikey video. They were the first ones I started looking at. Later, I found Lloyd Evans. And I don't remember exactly what was said. I just remember not fully agreeing with them at first, in the JW mindset. It's like, oh man, they're apostate. But, I guess they kind of get where I'm at too. Interesting. And so that was the first kind of crack in the armor, the JW armor. And I'm listening to Kim and Mikey and just getting my feet wet and learning these new apostate ideas. It then becomes like a 6-month mark, and I have like their 6-month meeting. And oh yeah, so I went back to my parents' hall because I was still living at home. And I really didn't want to leave my hall that I was at, my personal like hall that I had moved out, that I moved to. But if I was going to stay home, then they were like, you got to start going back to our meetings, to our hall, so we can like watch you. So I agreed to that or whatever. So I'm using this is the hall that I grew up in. So I know all these elders, and we do the 6-month mark, and I remember telling my dad there's a certain elder who I didn't want in there because this dude was like, he was one of those crazies. And I was like, can you just like make sure this guy is not in my judicial person thing? And like I said, we talked about the family earlier, but it's that dude ended up being there. Hey, but power to me, because he was a big time in awakening me through, because he was so like crazy, just like forthright, just passionate about the religion, and it was like it was like he was just in his own way, and it was honestly, it was weird. It was stumbling, and it was, people knew it. Was like, I think he's a little off. But there this guy is, and I had another guy who I was friends with his kids, who was there for quite a while. Our family was. And then another younger elder. And things, the first 6 months is like, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm getting through this. And 6 months, or like 6 months later, come again, we'll do this again, and if you are where you are, then cool. But I continue to have these feelings and this depression and this hatred and this anger in my heart. And I was like, why is this happening? Why am I feeling like this? And I began to see like it's the situation of this whole thing, this fellowshipping thing is weird. It's like, it's off. There's something wrong with this. Something is wrong with this. Like I could feel the love that was missing. I could feel it. And I made contact with one of the girls again that I was with before, and things happened, okay? And we got back together for a little bit. And when that happens, oh yeah, so not too long after that happened, I began to feel it though, like the guilt again. It's like, man, I'm trying to get back in and I can't stop this, apparently. And what most JW men, some women go through with sexual repression, it's very real. I was a big porn consumer, like out of control type of way. And so that repression thing was going on, and that in being in a situation like that with, in confinement in your own self, it does not help those, if you want to call them weaknesses for yourself, whatever. But, that didn't help that. And so I got back with her, and then I called one of the elders that was there, the childhood friend, their family, that guy, that elder for my old friends. And he kind of talked to me like on the phone, like hey man, I had a relapse with this. And it's like, so what should I do? Should I not try to go back in like 6 months, in that 1 year mark? We had the 6 month mark. And so I'm kind of approaching the year mark. So I was like, should I not go in? Should I not try to put my reinstatement letter in? He's like, no, put your reinstatement letter in. And, his overall message was like, hey, don't worry too much about it. Just, be genuine in your attitude and put your letter in and keep going to meetings, and just, do your best in this time and keep coming through. It's like, all right, will do. So then it's time for the 1 year mark meeting. And, this is, like I said, there was the first meeting. I'm not too specific about everything that happened in that first meeting, that very first one, when they originally disfellowshipped me. But people who have been through that know just the attitude and the way they look at you and certain things that goes on, and it's like, it's weirdness. So I had that in the back of my head, like, first time going through one of those meetings and what I experienced there, and it's like, that was different side of things, these guys that I've never seen before. But you put it off and it's still the truth, blah blah blah, and you keep going. So I'm at the year mark and the 1 year mark, and I put my reinstatement letter in, and they always ask you, what do they ask you first? Like, how do you feel? Like, why should we allow you back in? And so I went through everything. I told what was going on, what went on before, and what went on when the initial DF happened, and had the relapse, just getting with my chick again, and telling them that I called them about that, and that was that. And so the guy who I said earlier was kind of weird, that weird elder guy, he hands me this scripture, and he's like, you need to read this. And it's about, I forgot who it's about, but it's about someone like getting on their knees and crying, when they were truly repentant to God. And it's like, okay, like, that's your point. And so at that point, when I heard that, it's like all the frustration of all of this kind of boiled out. And it's like, bro, you mean to tell me that, what? I can see in your eyes, like, you don't really believe that, what, I'm trying to do this right. I'm trying to get back because I had this relapse. But not really because I even have the relapse. Because, like, it's like, it was with that girl. Because I'm not here crying my eyes out to you, sitting on my hands and knees and begging you. Like, and that's when later you realize that, some people put on that front. They cry and they put on the whole act. And sometimes that gets them where they want to go. Some people are good actors like that. But I had no idea. I was, at least at that time, I did have that genuineness of, like, I'm not going to cry. Like, I'm not going to put on a show. Like, I'm here. I've tried my best. I'm willing to keep working, whatever. But I'm like, you think I should be on my hands and knees, and then that's why you think I'm not really, like, sorry for my actions? Like, I make the point that, anyone could put on a show, anyone could put on a face, but, by my actions, man, like, yeah, I slipped up once during this time, but it's like, bro, I've done my best here, and if that's not good enough, it's not good enough. But don't tell me that I'm not really sorry. I'm not really trying here. And, this is a huge no-no. That is a huge no-no. To talk shit like that to them, because this is holier than thou shit, that they're on. And the guy looks at me, the other one, who family friend elder, And he's like, I forgot exactly how he worded it, but I didn't know you were this much of an they were this arrogant. And it's like, this, why are you acting so arrogant in front of us? Like, what? Like, arrogant? What are you talking about? And man, my mind has blocked off a lot of that, but it was just a lot of that. It was man, you're arrogant as hell. And I was looking at what these guys were saying to me, and I looked over at the younger elder, and I was like, bro, are you hearing this? Like, can you give me something here? Like, that's, I don't know, is at the least bit encouraging here? And he's just a young guy, and he's just a young guy, and he says like, hey man, well, he just kind of more or less agrees with them. And man, I've blocked a lot of this off because I just, you get a certain point, you don't think about this. But man, those judicial meetings are hell. They are hell. And it was like shocking beyond belief, the shit these guys were saying to me, and like laughing about it too. And it was such a way, like they were even disagreeing with each other. The crazy elder was of the opinion that it doesn't matter what you do or how many times you do it. What matters is if you are biblically repentant at the meeting. And the other one was more of, I guess, the JW way of, well, if you do something more than once and you relapse and whatever, then that shows you're not repentant. But they disagreed. You see the difference, it's like one was like, it doesn't matter how many times you do something, as long as you are truly show your repentance here at this meeting. And the other one, and I asked him straight out, so hold up, which one of you was right? Like, how is it really? It's like, and they're like, we're right, I'm right, at the same time. At the same time. They didn't even get it, and they're looking at each other like, what are you talking about? I'm not even joking. And I'm sitting back like, guys, what? Which one is it? If I come here and start crying and put on a show, whatever, like, and truly show to you here I'm super repentant, then I'm good? Or is it the action and you can't slip up ever? But that was rough. And I cried after, on my announcement day. I remember that when I was announced, I walked out of there like a bitch. And I went to my announcement meeting because, trying to prove myself. And but I cried walking out of there when they announced me. This was just about a year before. And so the second time I shed those type of tears again was walking out of this 1 year meeting, judicial meeting. And like, I was so broken, incredibly broken from what these guys laid on me. Wasn't suicidal, but like, I remember I just like went to a bar after that, and these guys almost got into a fight with me. These drunk ass guys. And I was like, holy shit, like, what the fuck is going on? Because I put I did a bar no-no. I put my drink right on the pool table, like on the green pool table. They're like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Don't ring up the table. And they just like stared me down for like a minute after that. I was like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is going on? But I was a wreck, and I went home bawling my eyes out like a bitch. And they're like, what happened? Like, my parents, because they were expecting, like, maybe this is it. Maybe he's really going to be out. I was like, bro, these guys this is insane. Like, this is crazy. And I was kind of recounting what happened. And And so basically after that, I didn't go back to a meeting for like 2 months because I was just such a wreck from all this. And it really began to hit me like something is freaking wrong. What is wrong? What is going on? And it's that waking moment. It was that waking time of admitting that the life that I thought was true, was correct, was righteous, wasn't good for me. I mean, the obvious answer of what was wrong was that you shouldn't be in a point of being disfellowshipped from your friends and your family, obviously, and in a cult and all this. You should think for yourself and all that. That was obviously what was wrong. But, you can't even see that. You can't even see what's bad for you. I mean, it's been bad for you the whole time, but even at its worst, you still just can't quite pin it down. It's funny. It's crazy. But life went on. 2 months, I just couldn't do shit. Wasn't doing it. Couldn't go back. And then I remember certain talks. I remember I went back. Oh, yeah. And then oh my God, guys. So that crazy guy, that crazy elder, about a month or two later, I went to his house just to show you where I was. I knew where he lived. And me and this guy were actually pretty close at one point in our lives. But I was in such a state of pure rage and anger at all this that I was like, I drove to this guy's house and I stayed in my car and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do? Am I going to like hurt this guy? Like, what am I going to do? And frankly, I walked to his house not knowing what I was going to do. But I knock on his door and weirdness. Like, I walk on his door and he's like, he walks out, like, yo, what's up? You okay? And I'm kind of shocked that he's like, even would acknowledge me at the door. Like, the way these guys treat you. No one's supposed to talk to you and shit. So I didn't know what would happen. But I knock on his door. His wife has always been really nice. And she's like, yeah, I'll get him for you. And I'm talking to him. And I'm just letting it all out. Like, how could you fucking treat me like that, dude? How could you say that shit in that meeting? And then he goes on defensive, like, oh, I didn't know that would have affected you like that. I was like, how could you not know? Like, calling me, like, a loser and unrepentant and arrogant and, like, pretty much an asshole to my face, like, after everything I've tried to do. Like, where do you get off thinking that's okay to treat someone like that? And that it would help me in any way. And we have our talk, not a talk, man. I let this dude have it. And I walk I say my piece and I walk away. And he shouts at me. He's like, hey, don't stop going to meetings. And you know what I said? Kind of under my breath, but not really. I said, shut up. It's like, shut up. Man, that was the first time I really just like, that baby meme. That baby meme with that was my face right there. That was like, I had the fist. I was like, yeah, freaking got you, bitch. And the first time I stood up for myself in regards to these guys, these elders, and really in regards to the whole cult. That really was like the first moment the true me was budding. Told that fool to shut up, man, fuck away from me. Yeah. But so later I'm just like still home and I'm not going to meetings. But then my parents are like, yo, so what's going on? Are you gonna? They kind of understood that what happened was traumatic at that point, and because even my mom later would tell me, like, yeah, I've heard some we all heard some shit about him, about that guy, how he dealt with certain people. But what ends up happening is that I can't keep going to that hall because I will not look at these guys. I will not talk to these guys ever again. So I'm like, yo, I can't go back to that hall no more, guys. I'm talking to my parents. They're like, what? Like, no one ever does that. Like, you were DF'd in one hall. You you now have to come to your old hall where you grew up, where we're at, because we want to see you, and now you want to go to a third hall. So I'm like, yeah. And at this point, I want to say that I was definitely, I know for one, I was always into movies and movies I shouldn't have been watching. I was really into cinema, and I was always in the back of my head that I kind of wanted to be an actor if I had to choose a job outside of the truth. It would have been acting. So I was really into movies, and I just loved movies. And I was watching, some non-Christian JW shit that, but I was really like, for the first time, it was really like hitting me. I was watching like Walking Dead. There was a HBO Spawn. It was so weird that I found that. If you ever want to know kind of what it's like for people who just can't understand, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's better descriptions, but from like a cinematic perspective, there's a couple ones that come to mind. There's V for Vendetta and Natalie Portman's scene where she's it's like where her hair gets cut off and that whole thing. That was very like being de-effed. That and Spawn's journey. I know that sounds, some of you think you're too old for cartoons and anime or whatever. Bullshit. You're not too old. Love me some anime. But Spawn's journey is very, especially how it's depicted in HBO, the animated series. Very, like, that really hit me. Like, wow, that is exactly how I feel. I feel like Spawn. I feel just completely fucked up by everybody. Yeah. And so I'm feeling these things out, with the media that I'm becoming one with that. Like I'm understanding it on another level that I hadn't before. And I'm doing, the apostate thing and some of the websites. It's interesting and it's starting to happen. Then I go to this third hall. And of course, I'm a foreigner at this place, I only last there for like a month or 2 or 3 months. I don't know, but it's there where it really hits me, because there I decide to sit all the way in the back. I don't know who these people are. I kind of don't even care if these elders there that I talk to see me or not. I was always in the back of my head, like, are these guys seeing that I'm here, that I'm trying? When I was DF'd, I would go to the front of the hall. A lot of times, some people sit in the back. I'd go to the front because I wanted these people to see me, like, yo, I'm here, man. I'm here, and you're not gonna like miss that I'm not here. Like, I'm here. I'm doing this. I'm trying. And because I was all in, and it's like the saying that for me, you get in, you want to get out from it when you're woken up. You want to get out from it what you got in, if that makes any sense. Meaning, like, if you were all in, that's the same effort. All in meaning like you thought it was the truth. You did the whole, 5 meetings a week, whatever, and you were all in. This was the truth to you. Then when you're out, you want to, like, first of all, you put in the same effort that you put in when you were all in to that research of apostate, the worldly way, and the true way, the non-cult way, and because that's what it takes. But yeah, so I'm in the back. I'm always in the back of this place, and it's starting to happen. Like, the organization's beginning to change. They have like a new songbook. I remember I went to this meeting, and they have a new songbook, and I'm like, bro, I don't even have the freaking songs that you're singing. Like, this is where that that's what they want. They want you to be isolated. They want to control you in that way for the purpose of disfellowshipping and excommunication. It's for control. But the distance, I'm feeling more distant than ever at this point from the JW thing. And I even start looking up videos, and I'll clip the video here of I forgot the guy's name, Secular Talk, I want to say. He's pretty cool. He's not left, he's not right. He's kind of in between. He's a political kind of activist YouTuber, but he talked about religion, and I remember even during the meeting, I was looking up videos during the meeting of like, you know, the other side of the argument, and I didn't have headphones, but I kind of read the subtitles, and then I saw the full thing at home, and it was like, this guy, you know, this video starts off with, you know, just your commonplace doomsday cult teacher, doomsday cult pastor. So if you don't come to church, well, you'll fucking die, and, you know, you'll get burned, and Armageddon, all this, going through the whole, you know, playbook, game plan, and all that they all have. And he just so lovely just broke that down, and how detrimental and horrible that is, and how we gotta get past that. And I agreed with every word this guy said, and I saw it, I felt it in my heart inside of where I was. Because here's the thing about me, I was, even before being DF'd, I was beginning to question things openly. Family study was something that was supposed to happen. And I remember specifically during that time, maybe like a year before I was officially DF'd, that I was like, bros, Mom, Dad, are we okay with everyone dying at Armageddon? You know, are we okay with this? And my grandpa was there at that time too. And he's a diehard. They all are, but he was like, he looked at me like, he's questioning. He's questioning. What's he doing? It's like, bro, are you freaking serious right now? I'm asking a question. And that just drove home all the point to more. Like, why can't I ask this question? Why can't I question openly? Like, are you guys okay with everyone dying? You know, all those jokes he would say about the crows eating them up, and picking their bodies out the street, whatever, all the crazy, weird JW jokes about all the millions that would be dead. And it's like, why are we okay with this? You know, that's like how I see it, man. That's not a day to celebrate. That's a day to like be pretty sad of all the work that all the people that we couldn't get in. You know, that's kind of a failure on our part. You can look at it that way. You don't have to, but I do. You know, and I don't think that's cool. And I kind of laid out all of my doubts at that point. Man, a lot of that family study shit is coming back to me, man. Just the indoctrination, guys. Insanity. But you know, we kind of ended up with like, we weasel our way around it. It's like, you know, God won't kill anybody because he will know their hearts. You know, he'll know who their true hearts and if they really are assholes or not. But we all know in our research that that is not how the society truly says things. If you aren't associated with the governing body, with the anointed, then you are dead. That has been their stance forever. So I was questioning, but this just kind of to show that there were always doubts. Everyone has these questions, their doubts, but you push them down. You push them down because you're supposed to, because it's comfortable to, because this is the truth, and God will figure it out in His own time. You know, that old reasoning. But like I said, I'm at this third hall, and the distance, I'm feeling it, the doubts more than ever, the apostate reasoning more than ever, the videos, Kim and Mikey, John Cedars. And so, but when I really, that point that I really not got out, but like stopped going to meetings initially, just completely stopped. I realized I was listening to a talk. I'm listening to them closely, and you know, remember all these things, you know, the apostate message and the world viewpoint and the other side of the coin, the other argument, and you know, reasons it's a cult, reasons it's not a cult, and the JW mindset and my mindset for depression and everything that's happened in judicial committees and all this stuff culminating in my life that my life has gone through. And so that's where I'm at mentally. And more than ever, I'm open to like, what do you have to say? What's your opinion? And I'm listening to the meeting, and it hits me. Oh my God. These guys are repeating the same thing over and over again. They're saying the same shit. They're repeating it. You know, and that's, I really feel like when you realize that, that is pretty much, you are pretty much awoke at that point. Like when you truly realize it, like the scam. Like they're just repeating the same scriptures over and over and over again. Like a drone. The Borg, right? The Borg. I'm not a Star Trek fan, by the way. I never even got that. I only recently got like, oh, the Borg is like a computer race or something. It's like, oh, okay. Okay. That's funny. But that's when I realized it, and that was, I want to say that was the last meeting I went to when I had that realization. And so at that point, I commit, like, okay, I'm going to fully give, well, not yet, actually. But I'm going to give a little bit more to the apostate message. What do they have to say? What are they really about? So I am, and I'm not going to meetings for a while. But, you know, it's still that tug of war. Like, is it the truth? Is it not the truth? Am I going to die in Armageddon? Am I not going to die? Is this all a joke? Is it not a joke? Blah, blah, blah. And I remember the Sunday I was deciding, should I go to the meeting or not? And I have that tug of war in my head. And I'm like, what should I do? I don't understand. Why am I going through this? Why is this happening to me? Neo in the Matrix. And I'm like, I need an answer. I need something. And so I don't remember what I searched, but I think I heard of Ray France. I'm like, who is this guy? I need to hear this guy. This guy was supposedly a governing body member. I need to hear what he has to say. I'll link the video. And I listened to his full explanation of his story and what he went through. And it was just exactly what I was going through. It was so perfect. He was so structured in how he was saying his argument.
I was very impressed by a letter from a man who said that he was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses and he was puzzled with this teaching about blood. He says, from what I can see in the Bible, blood is a symbol of life. He said, but it's only a symbol and life is greater than the symbol. So he said, how can you sacrifice the greater thing to hold to the symbol? It's almost like the person has a wedding ring on his finger, which is a symbol of his marriage to his wife, and he'd be willing to let his wife be sacrificed rather than to sacrifice the ring.
And I knew it was about a 45-minute video. And I was like, okay, that's it. I'm not going to another meeting until I fully hear out the full apostate argument, the full cult argument, and until I get to know the other side of the world. And I'm not going to another meeting until I do that. And that's how it happened. More Lloyd, more research, more Kim and Mikey, more research, all the other apostate channels. I'm forgetting jwfacts.com. jwfacts. That was my shit. I read everything on there. And I read Crisis of Conscience. And deprogrammed. That was it. I was out. And that was great. That was quite the time. The moment, I think all of us have a moment where it's like awakening. For me, it was the moment of giving it the chance, the full chance, the other side of the argument. That when I heard his Ray France speech, that 45-minute video, I still remember that Sunday. I still remember where I was when I was listening to it, how I was feeling when I listened to it. And from there, it was quick, but it was like a steady pace deprogramming from then on. There's no like one point after that where it's like, there's moments where it's like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know about the whole Mexico thing or Guatemala, whatever they were, Guatemala and Christ the Conscious book and all these things, and these little awakening points after that. For me, it's just little awakening points, and you keep waking up, man. It doesn't stop with the JW knowledge, and that's the greater point. I really should split this up into 2 videos, maybe. So I'm at an hour, but maybe I can get all this done in about an hour 30. Maybe I'll try. But yeah, I'm out. But I'm still at home, and I don't remember. Oh yeah. So, and then that was tough. It was then a few months of being out, but then seeing my family continue with the family study, and have being the JW mindset. It was torture. And I had to get the hell out of there, because I didn't know how to handle it myself. I'm newly out, and I'll get to it, of the inner growth, and the inner growth for yourself and for others, and understanding the cult mindset and why people fall for such things, and how we still are susceptible at all times. We know this. And so, but I finally decided, like, I gotta get out of here. And so I happened to have a pretty cheap apartment in the city, and I came across it, and I got it. And from there, I also had a goddamn window cleaning business. I never was educated past high school. I did go to like a trade school for like a year for for design. I forgot what it's called. A certain type of design for like posters and stuff. But because I was artistic, still am, but I didn't really know how to make that my own, and maybe I could actually. It's funny. I still have the certificate from that. But I didn't know how to turn that into anything. So, you like father, like son, and I had my window cleaning business, and it was cool. I mean, I working for yourself is real tight. I mean, if I encourage everyone, if whatever you like to do, whatever your passion is, you can easily, in the United States, become a business owner in a couple days, and plan it out. It's best to be in business with somebody else, but if it's something small, just research what it takes to have a business, and try to work for yourself if you can, with something that you love doing. Emphasis on love doing. Yeah, so I had my business, and I was on my own. That first night on my own, I didn't have my Wi-Fi. And I just had my bed, and I moved out. I didn't even have a TV or nothing, or, it was a really empty little place. It was a studio apartment, 400 square foot, somewhere in there, a little bit more. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on my own. Like, I felt like a sheep amongst freaking wolves. Not because it was literally scary or anything, but I'm brand new out. I'm a newborn baby in a world that I do not understand. And that's the next step, is learning the world. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to get to know people. And what were their religions? What were their beliefs? What are their goals in life? Why are they around? What do they believe? Is because once you wake up, it's like you're open. You'll never, not that you'll never, but you're wary of falling in love with any one way. You want all the aspects, all the arguments. For many of us, I should say, are like that, and I was full in like that. I wanted to understand myself better. I wanted to understand the world better, people better. I would talk to people, and man, it was good times. Just being on my own and learning the way the world worked, slowly but surely. And for a while that was great, and got to know my neighbors. And it was tough, of course, in the beginning, not having family, not having pretty much any friends, you are fully on your own. And it would get to me, definitely around the holidays, Halloween and Christmas. Christmas was tough. You really felt like, man, I have nothing, I have nobody, I am nothing. And those thoughts are so easy to creep in, and it's not true. You've battled so hard, and you've gone through something that so many don't understand. Something that permeates, the cult mindset permeates much more of life than people seem to know. People are understanding that the hard way now. And I'll get to that, as I'm continuing to wake up. Because, I was at that stage where I'm daily looking up XJW videos and contacting people on XJW Reddit. And I need that at that time. And, I'm going to clubs too. And I'm partying. And I'm trying to meet new people. And, trying to just go to events and just see things, just experience the world, grow. But when some friends came my way was when there was a JW protest in my city, a big one, and craziness. a lot of the big time YouTubers came out, and I met some of them, and I've met some XJWs in my area. And there was a meetup actually for a time. That was great. That was cool. I even met someone that used to be in one of my halls. I've actually met quite a few people who I used to know. But your friendships bud in their own way, in their own time. Certain ones that I did grow close to, and we became close. So that was great. You will find a way if but patience is key, and it's really about learning yourself. Whatever way that takes. A lot of people, for me, I've learned meditation is great. Silencing your mind. And the true thoughts, once you do that for a time, the true thoughts, the true weaknesses, the true things that are eating you at your core come to your mind, and you're forced to deal with it. And you grow in that way. That's a great way to do it. Getting out there with people. Part of my journey was getting to an acting class, kind of trying to fulfill that dream of could I become an actor. And I didn't end up pursuing that, but it's always there, and it was great. I learned the Meisner technique, which was, I really recommend everyone, frankly, if you're listening to this and you are newly out and you know there's pieces of yourself that are missing, you need to find yourself. You take an acting class. Take a Meisner acting class. It is a acting technique that is built on centering yourself, putting yourself out there, and understanding yourself and becoming comfortable with yourself. That you, as you are enough. You might not understand what that means, but you are enough as you are, as you truly are. And that's all it takes. And that's all that's necessary is being true to you. That you in the mirror, even when you had the so-called truth, there was always that you in the mirror, on your own, in your room, in the bathroom, whatever, that was the true you. We put on that face, that mask, we played that role, that character when we were in the JW church. And you would put on that mask, and maybe you would put on another mask at school, and another mask when you're at home with family, another mask elsewhere. But that's a lot of personalities of you trying to find yourself, But there was always that true you, I believe, for everyone, that danced, in the mirror, that sang in the shower or whatever, that where your thoughts were, you were okay to think whatever thoughts you wanted to. No one, not even Jehovah, whatever the saying is, could hear you. And that's the person that you need to be an actor, to fulfill the Meisner technique. And it's okay to be vulnerable, to put yourself out there, to be the true you, to understand that you as you are is all that you need and all you need to trust in. And that was so important to learn that, and I needed that. It's funny how I landed on that in that class. It's like I almost like knew I was going to do that before I even truly put effort into it. Like I was following acting pages and acting schools on Instagram, and I knew that I was going to end up like at least schooling and trying, and I did. I was on set for a few things, and I learned the technique. It took about 1.5 years 2 years to get it. It was really the last few months that I was like, oh, I got it. I understand. I understand what this is all about. I never did method acting. That's a different thing, but they say you should. So either or, but the Meisner technique is I think is a vital tool for people to use to find who you really are, to get that cookie cutter mindset, out. I have a feeling like I should stop here. Let's bump my table. But there were greater things, and I will stop, but you just kind of, maybe another time I'll recap the greater awakening. I felt over a time that there was something else wrong. I had that same feeling, because once you wake up, and you truly wake up, your bullshit meter is high. Is if you don't trust in anything else, not even yourself, you trust that bullshit meter. That bullshit meter will get you through some things. And my bullshit meter was on point, and I felt like something was wrong. Something else was wrong with the world. Like, I'm getting these same vibes that I got at a certain point when I was waking up, but I can't see what it is. And basically, the cult mindset permeates more than just religion. It permeates almost all of society. Amber Scora did a pretty good job of explaining to an extent what that could mean. She had a TEDx talk with escaping a cult and realizing the mindset of that cult, in our politics, in our police, in our infrastructure, our day-to-day life. You see it everywhere, and it is everywhere. And so from there, it was like, I want to know. I thought I had the truth. I thought I knew the nature of reality. What is the true nature of reality? I got into physics and astrophysics, quantum physics, the true bread and butter of why we're here. That's an open question, but getting into those things of what is the building blocks of reality, the atoms, the quartz, what things like the double slit experiment. These are things that not a lot of people understand, that are vital to understanding, wherever you want to understand it from, why we're here, the building blocks of life, the invisible building blocks, the nature of reality, the cosmos, the galaxy spanning cosmos, and what that could mean. What I want to say, though, because that's kind of like the second chapter of my life, in going through all this and growing, it's easy to be bitter about our path. You have come to understand a part of life that many people don't, and have to understand the hard way. We're seeing it with QAnon. We're seeing it's getting to the forefront, this religious extremism, and extremism in many forms, and it all fear-based, fear of what is death, what is life, why am I here? And it's all springs from those questions, which are great questions, and there are answers, and they're answers for whatever you're comfortable with. There's no one answer I'm trying to say. It's whatever you're comfortable with. But we see how those fears of those unanswered questions spring into these deceptive, manipulative practices. These religious cults and political cults and business cults. And people have drawn away from understanding coming within themselves and gaining confidence and love for themselves and loving themselves. And that's so key, is finding love for yourself. You will quickly realize, not quickly, over time you'll realize that, wow, I don't really even love myself. It's a key part of cult, to destroy your inner person. And if you destroy that inner person, you don't have love for yourself. And once you find that reason to have love and confidence in yourself, and it goes so far, and then, answering those other questions or beginning to explore what possible answers could be. I had a thought when I was within that, that oneness of self and of others, and loving myself, and thus finding love in others, and love in the planet and the universe and the cosmos and all the life that may be in it. And I was reasoning on this everything, and this all started with my grandpa, like I said. And this is a guy that went through World War II. Through my research in physics, you come to know things like the atom bomb. I mean, physicists have everything to do with everything. Physicists have something to do with the internet, with lasers, spaceships. That is all physicists. If anyone understands, if there's anyone that you should put your trust in, first of all, you put your trust in yourself. But if there's any one person or people, not person, that you put some, you hate to say faith, but like, I'll hear what you have to say. I'll hear you out. And it's the guys who are researching the very building blocks of what makes reality real. And it's astounding. I mean, quantum physics, bro. It's another universe. Our universe is built on top of another universe that most have no understanding, no clue of what's behind all this. And your guess is as good as anyone's. And what may end up being true will shock many. But as far as from a physicist's point of view, looking at the universe, looking at the quantum aspect, looking at the relative aspect, what's really going on here? Where the hell was I? Holy shit, I just went off it. Oh yeah, with my grandpa. So, because I said that because the time period my grandpa was living in, and World War II, World War I, World War II, these world wars scourging the planet, scourging the earth, scourging the psyche, the consciousness of humanity. And here comes the atom bomb on top of that. And I mean, what a messed up time. What a freaking messed up time in our history. An unfortunate time, something that needed to happen, apparently. Not that it needed to happen, but it happened, and it needed to end however it needed to end. It ended with hundreds of thousands roasting, unfortunately. But to live at a time like that, to not know if you were going to be exploded at any point in time, to live through these wars, and then remember the questions. It's the questions that lead us down, our paths, that help us decide where we need to go. And people always have these questions of who we really are, where we came from. What is life? What is reality? What is space? What's out there? And to have that unsurety of the self, because back in the 40s, people were very, the mindset, people all were still very religious, and it was a strict time. It was socially and ethically and all this. It was people were not as free as they are now, to put it in a simple way. As far as just kind of going with the flow. And my point is, if my grandpa needed Jehovah and the witnesses and all this in order to get him through that time, that Russia might drop a goddamn A-bomb on my head, or the Germans might sink my ship that I'm on, or World War III might start and it's going to be a global nuclear war. I mean, just crazy shit. I don't think we truly put ourselves there of how insane that was. And if you needed God, if you needed whatever, man, like Joseph Smith or Allah to get you through that, then holy shit, dude, then do that. Do whatever you gotta do to get you through that, to give you a reason to keep going. Because that was insanity. That was raw insanity. Hitler and the Holocaust and all of this going on. And then, just the history of America alone, just kind of the awakening period of slavery and Jim Crow and the hippie movement, all these movements. Things were changing. And, that spread in my case from my grandparents to my parents to me. But I believe people, like I said, are where they are for a reason. I've realized that religion, at the very least, gets people to see outside the box. It talks about angels and God and creation. I don't know if people naturally think of such things. The Native Americans are a great example of, they have many different beliefs. There's no one Native American God. Each tribe had their own beliefs, but they believed in the star people. They believed in spirits and whatnot, many things. But at least with religion, it gives people an intro, almost as it were, to, at least when done in, of course, a non-manipulative cult way, of one, community, and two, just looking above and beyond the borders of Earth, that there might be something more. There might be other intelligences outside of here, outside of these bodies, these three-dimensional carbon bodies. There might be something else. And I think for some people, it all goes back to that mindset of the questions of, is there more? Is there more life out there? Is creation, is it creation, or is it, it feels like there's something, some type of creative mind, some type of mind behind this, some type of creative force. And I think for some, that religion is the introduction to such ideals. And it's what they need in order to like I said, get their heads out of the earthly part of life, because there is so much more. There is the galaxy is so expansive. We're learning of these exoplanets, possible life visiting us, UFOs, the quantum world, and our own bodies. I mean, we ourselves are planets. We have living entities inside of us. I don't know if they're conscious, human thought, and conscious intelligence. I don't know if it's like that, but you have bacteria in you that's not really bacteria. It's a living thing that has a job to do, and it's living in you. You are a planet. You are life. It's amazing, and to think about this and expand to what is conscious awareness, and how did this all begin, and where's it all going? But if you don't know, I feel like if you don't know where you came from, you won't know where you're going either. It's all part of knowing thyself. So that's the first step. You're doing so well. You're here. I encourage all of you just to be open, be honest, be truthful. Let your true self bud out. Find your true self. Go outside. Go run. Go do what you love to do. Play football. Watch football. I obviously like football. Do whatever you love to do. Meet people, on these adventures. I'm learning as far as what I want to do. I quit the window business, and I've actually been sick for a while. So I'm dealing with that, and I'll get into that maybe in another video. But join meetups. Talk to your neighbors. Invite your neighbors over. Talk to people at the grocery store. Talk to people in school and in class. Tell them everything who you are. Be open. Be honest. And research the questions that you have. Get everyone's viewpoint on it. Get the Eastern religion viewpoint. Get the science viewpoint. Get the atheist viewpoint. Get the agnostic viewpoint. Get the toddler viewpoint. Get all the viewpoints and make your decision. Just like how you woke up. Be you. Be happy being you. Some more things. Meditation. Learn how to meditate. Learn how to quiet your mind and quiet the thoughts that are trivial, that are detrimental, maybe. And know that you are perfect the way you are. You're where you are for a reason, because you need to be there and you need to learn. Unfortunately, the way we learn is through suffering. It's one of the key tenets of why we're human, of why we're here. You are here, one, to die. It's a key point of living is you will die. You are here to love. You are here to suffer. You are here to live and to learn and to grow. In whatever form and whatever path that takes for you, whether you planned it all out before this or not, that's another thing. But you are here to learn, you are here to grow, and you could not be where you are now if you didn't go through this great trial, this great suffering. And you are better for it because you have learned an aspect of life, like I talked about, that most people don't understand how permeating that mindset is of the cult mindset. Stephen Hassan's book of, the how to spot a cult. And you realize, informational control and all this, that's in a lot of places. And it's our job, I feel like, to speak. I've been going to a therapist lately and speaking about a lot of the things that I've been going through, a lot of the awakenings. I feel like I've had 2 paradigm shifts. One I haven't talked about yet. I'll talk about it some other time. But the first was, of course, waking from the cult. And, awakening from this and understanding what life's really all about. Not really all about, but just getting to understand life all the more. You have so much to be proud of. That's the point. And you are loved. And that was part of it. It was understanding to a degree what we're here to do. You're here to grow. You're here to suffer. You couldn't have been here without suffering. You needed the suffering. And now, from my therapist, from something I discovered in myself, one of my purposes, I believe, is to speak and to spread. Spread. To speak and to spread love. In many ways. But love in all things. Love for all. In my journey, I've discovered we are all truly one. We are capable of evil. We have done great evil. You're part of this cult. You were an evil person in some form. That person who needed you, your friend who you decided to shun, that person at the door who the last thing they needed was cold information, but we were manipulating them, and that's on us. That's on us. And we were part of this. We have witnessed the face of the devil to an extent. The collective conscious of fear, of anger, of doubt, and how it manifests itself in the face of religion, of war, of hatred. That is the devil incarnate inside of all of us. We are all capable of this. And so there's no reason to hate anyone. You are capable of putting the knee. We talk about some of the recent events, Derek Chauvin, and the trials are going on right now for that kid who shot those, I forgot that kid's name. Ahmaud Arbery case is going on right now, the trial. We are all capable of evil. The KKK, that's just another cult. They are from the blueprint of religious cults. And I'm trying to say we are all one. We are all capable of the same love that you sense from your loved one. We're all capable of the same evil that you've felt from whoever, yourself or some hated one or whatever. There's no reason to think that you are better or greater or wiser. We are all one in this. We are all human. We are all conscious together. And we are here to spread love. We are here to help people understand that we don't need to be afraid. We can find strength in ourselves while we're here by ourselves alone. You have that strength. You have that strength to be better, to be strong, to find yourself, to be strong for yourself and thus for others, and to love yourself. And you will find it if you try. I love you. I love all of you watching this, my Ex-JW family. Those who are learning about what it's like to awaken from a cult. I have love for all of you, my enemies included. Not that I really have any. But those who wish evil for me because of my skin color, because of my where I am in life, amount of money I do or don't have, or whatever. I wish nothing but love for you. Because that's what I want for myself. That's what I want for my family. And that's what the universe has given you. The universe could be so much more chaotic. It could be so much more destructive. We could have stuff slamming into our planet every day, wiping out thousands. But it's not like that. The universe as a whole, yes, it's random. It's a lot of things. But there's love in this universe. We could all feel it. We're here now. We could all feel it. There's love behind all this. And I choose to show that love, to spread that love, to spread that message to you, to everyone that I meet, to myself. That was deep, y'all. That was deep. All right, listen, peace, love. I'm going to stop it here. Clip some things, do some editing, and I'm always here. I'm going to put my Instagram, I guess, maybe, my Facebook, and whoever needs to talk. I'm not always great with responding, but, I'll do what I can. So, I love all of you. You can do this. You're strong. It will be hard. But you'll find your way. You'll find your way, and you ask the universe. Ask the universe to help if that's what it takes. And maybe she'll respond, Much love, everybody.